Welcome, I'm Mr. S, a primary school teacher, here to help you with some of the tricky things in school. Now, most people write simple sentences. Here we are, the boy ran. But today I'm going to show you how to turn a basic sentence into a masterpiece using one simple trick, a relative clause. It's like adding an upgrade to your nouns. Now, by the end of this video, you'll be using these to level up your writing and give more information in your sentences. So let's get into it. Now, a relative clause is just a group of words that gives us extra information about a noun. Think of it like a pop-up window in a video game. It tells you more about the character or the object without starting a whole new sentence. So here's a quick example. I've got the boy ran. That's a nice boring sentence. We don't like those. How about the boy who was called Josh ran? That's much better. Now I can imagine what this person is like. It's a boy called Josh. Okay, it gives me more information. Or how about the boy who had a pet dragon ran? That's definitely more interesting. And now I can really picture somebody running along with a pet dragon on a leash. So we usually drop them right into the middle of the sentence, like here, using commas, or we stick them on the end of a sentence. One very important thing, they always start with a word called a relative pronoun. So let's take a look at those key players, the relative pronouns. So, like I said, a relative clause needs to start with a relative pronoun. They all have a different purpose. So we use who for people. If I'm talking about a person, if my noun is a person, I use who. If it is a thing, I use which. If it's something that belongs to someone, it's whose. If it's a place, I'm going to use where. And if it's a thing or a person, I could use that as well. Now, before we look at some examples, a quick recap that if I'm using a relative clause in the middle of my sentence, I sandwich it with a comma either side. If it goes on the end of a sentence, sometimes I use a comma before the relative clause, and sometimes it's not necessary. So let's dive into a few examples. Okay, so looking down here at these examples, first I'm talking about the person. So the teacher, my noun is the teacher. So I'm talking about a person. The teacher, who was usually very kind, gave us extra homework. If it helps you, when you put it in the middle and you need to split it with commas, try and read it in a different voice. It might help you hear where the commas need to go. For example, the teacher, who was usually very kind, gave us extra homework. Now I'm talking about a thing. My noun is the camera, so I'm going to use my pronoun for a thing. I got a new camera, which used to be my grandpa's. Now looking at place, I'm going to use a place pronoun with where. We visited the park where we first met. And lastly, let's look at the belonging to somebody. So here's my somebody, and I'm going to talk about an item that belongs to them. The astronaut, whose rocket had just landed, saw an alien. And some key information here. If you remove the relative clause from the sentence, then the black part here should still make sense on its own. My main clause should still make sense on its own. The astronaut saw an alien. We visited the park. I got a new camera. The teacher gave us extra homework. In comparison, the relative clause does not make sense on its own. Who was usually very kind, which used to be my grandpa's. Where we first met. Whose rocket had just landed. It's a good way for you to tell if you've done it right or not. Now it's your turn to be the teacher. So I'd like you to pause the video and see if you can add in a relative clause to each of these 3 sentences. Remember to use a relative pronoun too. If you need to rewind and screenshot those, then please do. take a pause right here and see if you can add those in. Don't forget your commas to sandwich, and if you need a comma for the one that you're going to put here. And that is how you master relative clauses. If you can use these in your stories, your writing will go from basic to brilliant in seconds. If this has helped you or your parents, hit that subscribe button and I'll see you in the next lesson.